Throughout modern history, countless covert missions and secret strategies have shaped the balance of power in ways the public often never knew, at least not until decades later. Like predators stalking their prey in the undergrowth, these operations unfolded beyond the reach of cameras and headlines, their true impact hidden from view. But the echoes of these events still resonate, shaping the geopolitical landscape we know today. This week, we venture into the shadowy realm of intelligence gathering, sabotage, and clandestine warfare. We'll journey through declassified documents, piece together fragmented testimonies, and analyze the ripple effects of decisions made in the shadows. Join me, if you will, as we unveil some of the most pivotal secret operations that altered nations, changed policies, and in some cases defined entire eras. Our journey begins in 1953, amidst the sun-baked deserts and bustling bazaars of Iran. This ancient land, steeped in history and culture, became the battleground for a covert operation. Mohammad Mossadegh, the democratically elected prime minister, nationalized Iran's oil industry. This move threatened British interests, leading to a secret pact with the US. The CIA and MI6 launched a covert campaign, culminating in a coup d'etat. Mossadegh was overthrown and the Shah was reinstalled, leading to decades of authoritarian rule. The coup sowed seeds of resentment against the West, a bitterness that would fester for generations. As the dust settled on the wreckage of World War II, a new conflict emerged from the ashes. The Cold War. Europe, divided by the Iron Curtain, became the central stage for this ideological battle between East and West. Fearing a Soviet invasion of Western Europe, NATO, with the support of Western intelligence agencies, embarked on a highly classified program known as Operation Gladio. This operation, shrouded in secrecy, aimed to create a network of clandestine stay-behind armies across Europe. These secret armies, composed of carefully selected soldiers and civilians, were to remain dormant, blending into society, their existence unknown to the public and even to most government officials. Their mission, in the event of a Soviet invasion, was to wage a guerrilla war, disrupting enemy supply lines, conducting sabotage missions, and gathering intelligence. They were to be a thorn in the side of the invading forces, a hidden resistance fighting for the liberation of their homelands. For years, Operation Gladio remained a closely guarded secret, its very existence denied by Western governments. But in the early 1990s, as the Cold War thawed, the truth began to emerge. Revelations about these secret armies sent shockwaves through Europe, raising serious questions about democratic accountability and the rule of law. While the original intent of Operation Gladio may have been to counter a Soviet threat, questions lingered about the potential for these clandestine networks to be misused. Some allege that certain factions within Gladio, operating outside the bounds of democratic control, engaged in acts of sabotage, political manipulation, and even terrorism, aiming to influence public opinion and shape the political landscape. The existence of Operation Gladio serves as a chilling reminder that even in democracies, the temptation to operate in the shadows, to wield power without accountability, can be a dangerous path. It highlights the delicate balance between national security and democratic values, a balance that must be carefully maintained. Chapter 3. Our exploration of secret operations now takes us from the battlefields of geopolitical struggle to the inner battlefields of the human mind. In the aftermath of World War II, as the Cold War intensified, a sense of paranoia gripped the United States. Fears of communist infiltration and mind control techniques being used against American citizens ran rampant. It was in this climate of fear that the CIA embarked on Project MKUltra. This top-secret program, initiated in the early 1950s, delved into mind control. Subjects were subjected to high doses of LSD, hypnosis, electroshock therapy, and sensory deprivation. The CIA believed LSD held the key to mind control. They experimented on unwitting subjects, including their own agents, soldiers, and civilians. For nearly 2 decades, MKUltra remained hidden from public view. In the 1970s, information about MKUltra began to leak out, sparking public outrage. The revelations exposed a dark underbelly of Cold War paranoia. The program became a symbol of government overreach and the potential for abuse. Chapter 4. The year is 1915. The world is engulfed in the chaos of the First World War, a conflict that has pitted nation against nation in a brutal struggle for dominance. As the war raged on, a tragedy at sea would shock the world and help tip the balance of power. On a sunny afternoon in May, the RMS Lusitania, a luxurious British ocean liner, was making its way across the Atlantic, carrying passengers from New York to Liverpool. Among those on board were American citizens, unaware that their journey would soon end in disaster. Without warning, a German U-boat, lurking beneath the waves, fired a torpedo, striking the Lusitania on its starboard side. The impact was catastrophic. The once majestic liner, mortally wounded, began to sink rapidly beneath the waves. The sinking of the Lusitania sent shockwaves across the globe. The loss of life, including 128 American citizens, outraged public opinion, particularly in the United States, which had until then remained neutral in the European conflict. In the aftermath of the tragedy, questions lingered about the circumstances surrounding the sinking. Some historians and analysts have argued that the Lusitania may have been carrying contraband, specifically munitions destined for the British war effort, making it a legitimate target under the rules of war. Others have gone further, suggesting that the British government, aware of the risks, may have deliberately allowed the Lusitania to sail into harm's way, hoping that a German attack would sway American public opinion in favor of joining the war on the side of the Allies. Whether or not the sinking of the Lusitania was a deliberate act of provocation or a tragic consequence of wartime miscalculation, its impact on the course of the First World War was undeniable. It fueled anti-German sentiment in the United States, pushing the country closer to entering the conflict. Chapter 5. Our final chapter takes us to the heart of Africa, where a daring hostage rescue mission unfolded, showcasing the precision and audacity of Special Forces operations. In 1976, Air France Flight 139, en route from Tel Aviv to Paris, was hijacked by terrorists shortly after takeoff. The hijackers, members of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine and the German revolutionary cells, forced the plane to divert to Entebbe airport in Uganda. The world watched in horror as the hijackers separated the Israeli passengers and crew from the others, releasing most of the non-Israelis. The remaining hostages, over 100 people, were held captive in a dilapidated terminal building, their fate uncertain. The Israeli government, faced with an agonizing dilemma, refused to negotiate with the terrorists. Instead, they opted for a daring and risky course of action, a long-range rescue mission codenamed Operation Thunderbolt. Under the cover of darkness, 4 Israeli C-130 Hercules transport planes carrying elite commandos from the Sayeret Matkal unit secretly landed at Entebbe airport. The commandos, disguised as Ugandan soldiers, stormed the terminal building in a lightning-fast assault, taking the terrorists by surprise. The raid was executed with surgical precision. The commandos neutralized the hijackers, secured the hostages, and fought off Ugandan soldiers who attempted to intervene. Within an hour, the hostages were freed and the Israeli forces were on their way back to Israel. The raid on Entebbe was hailed as a remarkable success, a testament to the courage and skill of the Israeli commandos. It sent a clear message to the world that Israel would not bow to terrorism and would go to extraordinary lengths to protect its citizens. Outro. From orchestrated coups to clandestine armies, from psychological warfare to daring rescues, secret operations have left fingerprints across the pages of our shared history. They challenge our understanding of truth, morality, and the delicate balance of power. These operations, often shrouded in secrecy and deniability, raise profound questions about accountability, the rule of law, and the very nature of democracy. They remind us that power, even when exercised in the name of national security, can be a dangerous tool. As we continue to uncover hidden chapters, one fact remains clear. What happens behind locked doors and classified files can profoundly shape the world we inherit.